There is no better time than right now if you're a baseball fan. Amateur baseball, we're just past Memorial Day weekend, which means travel ball is in front of us. College baseball at every level, crowning national champions. The big leagues, you can come home, sit down, and let's say watch a Dodgers or a Phillies game. This is the heartbeat of baseball. This time of year is incredible. And my name is Darren Sutton. We are Perfect Game Weekly, presented by Rawlings. And on this show, we are devoted to amateur baseball. We've got a heck of a show for you. Jackson Ferris, gifted left-hander, IMG Academy, Florida. We'll check in with him. A very recent conversation with our own Danny Wexelman. He may be a first-rounder, one of the first left-handers taken in the draft. We'll also talk draft with Bill Bavasi. The longtime general manager, now consulting for Perfect Game, is helping out taking the game global. He recently was at an event PG put on in the Czech Republic to report on the impact that event had. And speaking of impact, Alex Gordon, not just with his glove, the now retired Kansas City Royal who won a World Series championship in 2015. No, Alex now is impacting the community, especially those families dealing with pediatric cancer. He recently teamed up with Perfect Game. The partnership, Alex's Lemonade Stand, will explain more. But also, we like to get things going like we do every show and go on a road trip. Here we go. We're focusing on arms today, and we start our trip in Troy, New York, where Kumar Rocker, perhaps the most famous arm in amateur baseball over the last half-decade or so, finally made his long-awaited professional debut. You remember Kumar, right? 2017 PG All-American, 19 strikeout no-hitter in the Super Regional, on his way to being named the most outstanding player at the College World Series, and winning a national title at Vandy in 2019. Drafted 10th overall by the Mets last July, verbally agreeing to a deal before it all unfortunately famously fell apart. Kumar is now trying to show scouts he's healthy and ready for the 2022 draft. He signed with the Frontier League's Tri-City Valley Cats last month and made his debut last Saturday. And according to those in attendance, he looked like Kumar. 6 strikeouts and 4 frames. His fastball sat at 97 and he touched 99. 43 of his 60 pitches went for strikes in his first game since June of last year. Kumar Rocker could be coming soon to a city near you. From upstate New York to the PG South Invitational in Tomball, Texas, let's go to check in on 2 arms. One, a lefty, the other, a righty. First up, the right-hander. Number 8 overall, 2023, Travis Sykora. The 6'5", 220-pound Texas commit got his travel ball season going in a loud way. The fastball was cranked up. 97 to 99 in just 1 inning of work. David Ronsley told us about him on this very show just a couple of weeks ago. And once again, David, you're right on the money. To the left side now, and a 2024 Texas A&M commit, Cooper Williams. All the 16-year-old southpaw from Alvin, Texas did last weekend was throw a complete game, 2-hit shutout with 13 punch-outs en route to being named the most valuable pitcher of the 4th annual PG South Invitational. The fastball, it touched 92. The changeup, it was dynamic, deceptive, and explosive are the 2 words scouts are using to describe the outing of young Cooper Williams. Oh, you've got to love travel ball season. 650 miles northeast of Tomball, Texas sits Hoover, Alabama, the site of the PG 13U National Elite Championship. And that's where we find 14-year-old Andrew Bennett. The 2027 right-hander put on a show this weekend. Looking almost like a young Dylan Lesko, Bennett was up to 88 in the second of 2 outings and showed a curveball that scouts say, might even project better than the heater. Folks, he's 14. Last stop on this road trip, Oklahoma. Over the weekend, 142 softball teams from all over the country competed in the Perfect Game Oklahoma City Challenge. Nearly 1,500 players from 10U all the way up to 18U participated in the pre-tournament combine and the tournament itself. The entire PG softball leadership group was on hand, and none other than Jennie Finch spoke to the players at the opening ceremony.
There's greatness within you. Go out there and shine. Keep working hard. Don't let anything get you too high, too low. Keep putting in the work. Keep grinding.
To see our game grow, over 140 countries play softball. And to provide these opportunities for these young girls that I never had, it's wild. We walked into a stadium this week at Oklahoma and here we are, 12,000 fans watching the game. I want these young girls to know that they can do it.
When we come back, Danny Wexelman's conversation with Jackson Ferris from the very recent Perfect Game High School Showdown. The Ole Miss commit who is readying himself for the 2022 MLB Amateur Draft coming up in July. This is Perfect Game Weekly. We're presented by Rawlings. We welcome you back to Perfect Game Weekly, presented by Rawlings. I always remind young athletes to never get too far ahead of themselves. So when they're 14 years old or so and they look at bigger, taller, stronger, faster teammates, understand your time will come. Here's a good example. The 2016 Super 25 National Championship for a Canes youth team, a young Jackson Ferris pitched. The young man out of North Carolina threw 65 miles an hour at that point, and he was 5'1", and he weighed 95 pounds, but he hung in there. Despite the fact that he had teammates that weighed $135, $145, he kept pushing along. Fast forward, last year, Jackson Ferris transfers to IMG Academy, a summer in which he was a PG All-American. At the All-American Classic, 95 miles an hour. At PG's National Showcase, 96 miles an hour. And it was this spring, pitching for IMG at Perfect Game's High School Showdown, that he again touched 95, and he was dynamic as we were able to cover him. And it was at that time that Danny Wexelman sat down with Jackson and his dad. All you youngsters, hang in there. You too could grow like Jackson someday. Jackson Ferris, the #1 left-hander in the country. 13 strikeouts, no hits, top fastball 95 miles an hour.
And his lowest fastball might have been 90.
We saw you shove last night. 13 strikeouts. People were living and dying by every pitch that you were throwing. Did you feel like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's always cool to see, in the first inning, you hear a kid foul tip a pitch, and then the crowd just goes ballistic, so that's kind of funny to be out on the mound and hear that.
Did you see the scouts behind you?
Yeah, I saw them, but I kind of try and tune them out and just look at me and Brady, and then just try and get rid of all the stuff out there so I ain't overthink anything. I'm more of a chill person on the mound, take deep breaths in between pitches, get the ball and go, so I don't really overthink anything on the mound. My stuff is good to where if I throw it over the plate, most kids aren't gonna hit it, I believe, and it's just getting the location right. So if I start in middle and my changeup tails away, my fastball tails away, my curveball will start middle, it'll go down, kids will swing at it, and it's just getting ahead with all those pitches.
What's your favorite pitch?
My fastball. Yeah.
You told me last year that you wanted to come to IMG to learn to play on big stages, play in front of big crowds.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you done that?
Yeah, I have, especially with the PG High School Showdown. I was playing at Texas last year, and then Calvary Christian last year. All the games we played so far this year, it's just huge crowds come to watch IMG. Everyone knows IMG, and they're most of them hate IMG at the same time, and I like that because I like having a target on our back.
You feed into that?
Yeah, I'm we're gonna give you our best too, and let's go at it.
It's a big year, right? You're either going to go to school or you're going to get drafted. Have you thought about draft day? Have you thought about what that looks like for you?
I mean, of course, it's in the back of my mind, but I just try and not think about it whenever I'm playing this season right now.
Have you thought about who will be in the room with you, who will be watching when everything starts to happen?
So I want my room to be probably small, so just family, mom, dad, brother. Grandma, grandpa, both of them, so I mean, it's awesome.
The
Just
people who
guys.
are the closest.
Yeah.
I know how important your family is to you. You said they're here,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. They get to watch you, which isn't something they do very often. What does it mean to have them here?
I mean, it was awesome. It kind of pumped me up even more for yesterday. I was they're gonna be here first time since August, since USA last year, and I was
Wow.
I don't want to do bad. I don't want to do bad in front of them. And so I was just going out there and doing what I could.
Strike him out, throw him out, and still the no-hitter stands alive.
Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. We had a long drive. Took about 7.5, 8 hours to get there, and it was just, it's always a joy to be able to see him pitch. That's the Jackson I know between the lines. Pulse stays even, he's confident, he knows what he needs to do, and he has fun doing it. Our whole family is so proud of what he's been able to do, given the sacrifice he's had to make to get to this level. It's nice to see hard work pay off. It's been amazing to watch.
You said, you and your dad have worked so hard, all the late nights. You come from your small town kid. What do you want people to learn about your story and where you've come from?
Doesn't really matter where you come from. You can do anything that you put your mind to.
What kind of impact do you want to have? We're watching baseball right now. I think it's going through an evolution. I think it's a good thing. I think the game is changing in a good way. when you see that, what do you want to do when you get your call up?
So like MLB ads, all that, like you only see like home runs and stuff like that. And I want people to realize that like the game of pitching is still there at the same time. So like I want to dominate on the mound all the time and then like get my name out there and pitching out there that way.
I love that. I know you're a movie buff. You're a movie buff, right? Did you tell me that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any recommendations you want to give me as of late?
So my top 3 movies are Longest Yard, Lion King, and Step Brothers.
I love The Lion King. I love all 3 of those, but especially The Lion King. We're talking about the old one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of like the real life version.
Yeah.
Like the animated one's
It's
the
a
best
little
one.
scary, right?
Yeah. Kind of weird.
Yeah, that's how I feel
Yeah.
too. Like, that's not my Lion King. I love that.
Not at all.
I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Had a chance to catch up with Jackson, the son of Jason and Lena, and find out that he, in fact, is in Southern California, North Carolina, Florida, Southern California, Huntington Beach, specifically training for the Combine, getting ready for the MLB amateur draft. And then if that doesn't work out perfectly for him, of course, there's Ole Miss. Coach Bianco and the folks in Oxford would love to have him on campus. When we come back, we'll grow the game internationally. Bill Bavasi, longtime general manager in the big leagues, now consulting for Perfect Game, recently went to Europe, an international PG event. He'll tell us what he learned. This is Perfect Game Weekly. We're presented by Rawlings. We welcome you back to Perfect Game Weekly. We're presented by Rawlings with an eye on growing the game globally. Really excited to welcome in Bill Bavasi, who was a longtime general manager and executive at the highest levels in the major leagues and player development as well, now serving as an executive consultant for Perfect Game. Bill, thanks for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it.
Always fun to be with you, Darren.
In May, and it wasn't the first one, there's been a multitude of showcases and events the Perfect Game has had, but they went to the Czech Republic. You went to the Czech Republic. As you laid eyes upon it, what were some of your takeaways of seeing the game grow in Europe?
Well, I got to tell you that it's interesting. When I was with the Reds, we signed a couple of players out of the Czech Republic. Peter Cech was a catcher with us. That's the first one that I remember real well. But there is baseball played there, and there is good baseball played there. Now, I'm not saying the talent is like we see in the United States, but I will tell you that the athletes are there. They're just playing different sports. And the game is growing, so I really do believe as time goes by, you're going to see that game get better and better. But what Perfect Game did in the Czech Republic was really lay the foundation to get back into the Czech Republic, back into Europe post-COVID, and that's not very easy to do. I was really thrilled to see what we had going there. We have a great template to go forward.
And can't wait to see more events in Amsterdam and Barcelona and Sicily this summer. I want to talk DR, Bill, if you don't mind, because the Dominican Republic, I think people don't stop and think that there is an avenue with the player that signs at 16, but an entirely different group of DR baseball player that wants to play in college and work on their education. And Perfect Game has found a unique way they can help that athlete, huh?
Yeah, when we ran a showcase there a few months ago, I had a chance to visit with real good friends of mine that were scouts back when. Some are still scouts. Some are now trainers of players. And those that showed up, we had some real good players that are going to sign, and they're going to sign when they get to the right age on July 2nd. But we had a lot of players that are interested in college, and that's something new in the Dominican Republic. There's a burgeoning middle class there, and so Perfect Game is right in the middle of a change in the society, in the baseball society in the Dominican Republic. And I shouldn't say Perfect Game's in the middle of it. Perfect Game's going to lead the charge towards college in the Dominican Republic.
You're a man with a life in the game who has seen young players see their dreams, and you've been at the head of those as a leader. If I'm a young man who's 14, 15, 16, and I'm pretty good, Bill, and I'm dreaming of pro baseball, what advice do you have when a scout walks up to see me play? I know you need to play your best, but what are some things you looked for? What are some things you had your troops look for? Since I have you, you may as well give some good advice.
It's not about playing your best, it's playing your hardest. It's giving it your best effort. So yeah, you might take an offer or you might walk a couple of guys, but you just need to be you. And every time you have a chance to do things you can control, which is run down the first baseline hard, think about what you're doing in the game, play the game the right way, interact with your teammates. You know, clubs look at that. You know, they're there to watch you play because you're a good player, and you might be lucky, and you might be a teammate of somebody who is being watched by scouts. And so, you know what, you're going to be seen too. But once they know you can play, now they want to see how you approach the game and kind of approach life. And so they'll get there early, and they'll watch how you interact with your teammates. They'll watch how your teammates react to you doing well. These guys are watching every move you make. And so when you can handle yourself well, that means something to these guys, because they know what they're doing when it comes to judging your tools. But when it's judging your makeup, they don't get the time to spend with players like Major League Baseball used to spend with you when you signed, Darren, or your dad, you know, right? But my point is that you recall back when scouts were able to, the area scout was spending more time with the player. And now that time is cut back. The role of the area scout has changed a little bit. There's a lot more information gathering. Non-baseball information gathering or metric gathering, you know, a lot of data, site tests, different things like that. But they're not really, that doesn't mean they're getting to know you. And so now they're taking every chance they can to see what you do when you're not playing. So I will add to that if you're a dual sport guy, they're watching your other games too. You know, they want to watch how you act in your football games or your basketball games. And I will say too that if you're a dual sport athlete or a multi-sport athlete, keep playing the other sports, please. You know, we're not trying to get players to play baseball and drop everything else. We want the dual sport athlete. The dual sport athlete is very, very valuable to every sport. So if you're playing two sports, keep playing them.
Thank you, Bill. Love your insights. Don't put the football or basketball down, but keep playing baseball. We're going to have to do this more often. Bill Bavasi joining us. When we come back, the story of PG alum Alex Gordon. Yeah, that Alex Gordon that won all those gold gloves and a world championship for the Kansas City Royals. How it's come full circle. A new partnership with Perfect Game, raising funds for pediatric cancer. This is Perfect Game Weekly. We're presented by Rollins. This is Perfect Game Weekly. We're presented by Rawlings, and as we put a bow on this show, it's always fun to put a bow on a story. Go back to the 2001 Perfect Game National Showcase at Tropicana Field. That's, by the way, where the showcase is this year. Guys like Joey Votto, he was there. Prince Fielder, he was there. Both brand new PG Hall of Famers. And so was Alex Gordon. He opened a lot of eyes. He wasn't drafted. He went on to Nebraska. But then he was a first-round pick of the Kansas City Royals, and it was a decorated career. 8 times he won a Gold Glove. He was a World Series champion in 2015. Now he and PG have come full circle, and you put a bow on it. You see, Alex's Lemonade Stand is a charity that means the world to Alex Gordon. And in early May, they wrapped up a great event, Perfect Game and Alex Gordon, at which age groups from 8 to 14 gathered, raising funds for Alex's Lemonade Stand, the fight against pediatric cancer. It was an incredible gathering. Huge impact certainly was felt, and PG honored to be along for the ride, just like they were back at that 01 National Showcase. Here's more from Kansas City.
We're at a Mid-America Sports Complex. We're in Kansas City, and we're doing my 8th year of the Alex Gordon Baseball and Softball Classic.
There is a fundraising component, and so the teams raise money on their own by having a lemonade stand, going door to door, asking friends and family. And then the top teams get to come on the field today and meet Alex, get his autograph, and have a picture with him.
Great facility to play at, it's turf fields, and then plus also the bonus is the boys get to meet Alex Gordon himself.
This looks like trouble. What's up, guys?
So Alex Scott was a little girl who had neuroblastoma, and she's the one who started this. A lot of people think it's Alex Gordon's charity, which, you know, in Kansas City, maybe a little bit.
I got introduced in about 2010 through the Royals Charities. They presented this foundation to me just because of the name similarity, and you know, kind of just kicked off right away for me. It had a special place in my heart, and when I heard the story about Alex, the young girl from Philadelphia that raised $1 million before she passed away from childhood cancer, it just stuck even more. All of you have stepped up and done your part to make this a successful weekend for the Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation. So I want to thank you guys so much. Grinded it out for about an hour, 2 hours, and did a lot of autographs and a lot of signatures, but you know, that's the real reason I'm here is all these kids, just the joy they have for not only the game of baseball, but just in life in general. And to put a smile on these kids' face is something I'm happy to do all the time.
Alex is so great with his time, and if he has the time, he's going to sign as many. I'm always like, come on. Susan, I can do a few more.
I think they're pretty pumped up. I mean, they've been talking nonstop about it for the last couple weeks, so they're super stoked.
It started off in 2010 with just a simple name, and it's grown ever since. And
we've raised over $275,000. Hopefully by the end of this particular season, we will have raised $300,000.
And by the way, the namesake of Alex's Lemonade Stand, Alexandra Scott, who prior to her passing in 2004 at 8 years old had raised more than $1 million for the fight against pediatric cancer. Alex Gordon, thank you for all that you have done for this cause. Danny Wexelman and Jackson Ferris, great stuff. Thank you for contributing to this show as well. And Bill Bavasi, we got a lot smarter by chatting with you. You'll get smarter if you watch Perfect Game TV, June 11th through the 15th. Perfect Game's Junior National Showcase, wall-to-wall coverage from basically breakfast to dinner. The finest players in the country heading into their junior years of high school will be with you, and of course, we'll dedicate our show, Perfect Game Weekly, to that event as well. Find us on your smart device, not just on your regional sport network. You can download us at Perfect Game TV on your smart device. Whatever it may be, we're here 24/7, dedicated to amateur baseball. I'm Darren Sutton with a ballpark-like feel. This is Perfect Game Weekly, presented by Rawlings.